the new head of Egypt? Do any of you know the answer to that? Mohammed el-Baradei. You say, who cares about it? You know what? I think I'll give you a little primer on who the new head of Egypt is, because I actually covered it in Trickle Down Tyranny, now available in paperback. Yes, you can go buy the book and do yourself a favor. Do you know that el-Baradei was handpicked to run Egypt after the Muslim Brotherhood was thrown out, right? And you say, that's a good thing. Wow, that's great. They got rid of all those. See, I haven't covered this yet, but you're going to get a shocker now. Gee, that's great. They got rid of those real extremists in the Muslim Brotherhood. I feel much better because the new head of Egypt is a moderate. Is he? You remember the name Mohammed el-Baradei? Well, go to pages 157 to 159 in Trickle Down Tyranny and reread what I wrote for you about that. Because it turns out that el-Baradei is a puppet of George Soros. Now, what does that have to do with what's going to happen next? Would you like me to give you a little hint? I'll give you a little hint. Here's my little hint. Many of you assume that the Muslim Brotherhood, as run by Mr. Morsi, was an extremist organization. Well, the Muslim Brotherhood is an extremist organization. By any account, any fair-minded person would know that they're very extreme and very anti-Western, anti-Semitic, etc., very anti-woman, anti-homosexual. But we don't know who Morsi was, do we? I believe Morsi, it turns out, was extremely, extremely friendly toward the United States of America, despite what he was saying to placate the radicals within the Muslim Brotherhood. I think that Morsi was playing ball with the Obama administration. And I believe that the reason Obama has said we're not going to recognize the new group in Egypt is because a couple of reasons. If he calls it a coup, by law, he has to stop sending the F-16s and the tanks. That's number one. So given that he's a lawyer who always parses the truth, he will not call a coup a coup. So he says, no, it wasn't a coup. Well, it was a coup. So then who is el-Baradei? He's actually more radical than Morsi. See, this is something people don't know yet. It's very hard to understand what goes on in the Middle East, never mind in the Arab world, especially now. Most of us are not experts on it. I don't consider myself an expert, but I consider myself a fairly good analyst. And my analysis tells me that Morsi was the devil we know, and el-Baradei is the devil we don't know. And I also think that the reason the U.S. under Obama is freaked out over the el-Baradei appointment, meaning the rise of the so-called overthrow of Morsi, is because you're going to see more extremism now than you did before under Morsi. That is similar to the fact that Yasser Arafat, although, going back now in time, although he was extremely murderous and very dangerous, I believe at a certain point he was working with the United States government. I have no reason to know that for a fact. I'm simply speaking from the point of view of an analyst. Let's say I work for an intelligence agency and I was sitting in a room with you guys. I would say it's a likely possibility that although he was extreme, he kept some of the more extreme elements under control. Okay? He was a charismatic leader. And I'll tell you the same thing. It was the same with Gaddafi. Again, although he was an extremist, he was not as extreme as it could have been, as you're about to see in Libya. And so forth and so on. And so I think, therefore, you're going to be quite horribly shocked to find out that although you're now celebrating the overthrow, so-called, of Morsi and the so-called Muslim Brotherhood, you're going to soon wake up to find out that it has now morphed into something much more deadly and virulent under the new head of Egypt named el-Baradei. And I don't want to spell out the details for you, but you can find it in Trickle Down Tyranny on pages 157 and through 159. Let me read